Hi, this is Erin and Simon with Assets and Arbitrage. We haven't seen you guys in a while, so you know that we missed you. Um, Funny thing, a few shows back, I had casually mentioned that when Simon and I were first married, just a few years, maybe a year in, he decided that he wanted, or he approached me and stated that he would like to run the marriage as a business, right? So he just wanted to add some discipline to the marriage that businesses typically have. He would prefer to run his household that way. We only had one child who was very small at the time. And I got some interesting emails. One in particular was concerned that if Simon and I are running our marriage as a business, that I may potentially be in a loveless marriage. I know that there's a lot of talk about Beyonce and Jay-Z. It's not a real marriage, it's just a business agreement. And we just kind of wanted to shed light because I could actually understand. I mean, I don't know all the nuances of their marriage, but just based on how we run our marriage, I can understand when couples who are generating wealth or who already have that wealth established are wanting to run their marriage like a business. Did you want to start with it?
No.
Okay. So one of the things I have noticed, especially in the relationship arena, is that people have a particular one-dimensional view on relationships, marriages especially. I know some people kind of want that Disney approach where marriage is this big, beautiful, romantic bubble, and they live happily ever after, and everything is happy and everything is fine. And to be honest, marriage is a very multi-dimensional, multi-layered, multifunctional institution. It's the institution of marriage, meaning it has a whole bunch of different moving parts, and these moving parts are what makes it work. So for us, when we talk about, and I just want to clarify, number one, I am not in a loveless marriage. My husband and I pretty much do everything together. I'm not sure if the person who sent me that email watches the show a lot, but I'm not in loveless marriage. So I just want to let you know that. But when you add that business factor to a marriage or to your relationship, just depending on where you are in it, it does add discipline to it. One of the benefits of us running our marriage as a business is tax-wise. So for instance, when hubby and I go out on a date, we do conduct business and we are able to write that entire meal off as a business meal, right? First portion of the date, we conduct business, we talk about whatever's going on, status updates, financial things, stuff that comes up, things that need to get done. And then the second portion of the date is our romantic time. So boom, you got a tax benefit for running your marriage as a business, right? Two, when you run your marriage as a business, a lot of the things you do within the household are also tax write-offs. Because we work from home, children are homeschooled. And I also have some contractual business that I do from the house. Majority of the things we do are absolutely tax write-offs. And they are things that, they are privileges that we're able to enjoy, adding wealth back into the household, back into our businesses, and back into our wealth portfolio.
And I wanted to say something. Also running the marriage as a business, our eldest son, who is 21, is an employee. And he is paid a salary, right? Is he paid a salary? He's paid a salary. He is paid a salary for the things that he does. And, that is also a tax write-off. It's a tax benefit. And, and so he takes his job very seriously, if he wants to get paid. And so, that's another benefit of running the marriage as a business. And, I'm gonna circle back around, businesses will have, cash on hand. So famously, Michael Saylor, the former CEO of MicroStrategies, is famously known for taking his cash balance or his treasury reserves and turning them into Bitcoin, right? So that's another usage for Bitcoin. You could be using Bitcoin while you're running your marriage as a business as your treasury reserve asset. Now, it doesn't have to be 100% of your treasury reserve asset, right? You still might want to have some cash on hand and things like that, but this is another use case for Bitcoin. You know, we talk about Bitcoin all the time, and it has different use cases, but it's so versatile that you can put it in different places, right? So if you're running it as a business and you have treasury reserves, Bitcoin can be part of those treasury reserves. And these are some of the benefits of running your marriage as a business.
So I'm laughing too, right? Because I could understand where the writer is coming from. So I hope the writer of the email isn't offended as you watch the show, but I'm not really sure if the sender of the email is married. I don't know what their relationships are. I don't know anything about the person who sent the email, and they sent it under their handle. So I don't even have a name to just kind of get a handle of it. But, you know, marriage is more than just love. And it should be, right? Because marriage requires you to run a household. Your household should be run as a business. When you see dysfunctional households, it's because there's no plan in place. There's no management, there's no oversight, there's no planning. There's no one, you know, taking inventory on what's needed, what's not needed, and so on and so forth. So that is one of the typical reasons why a lot of households in the world are dysfunctional, is because it should be run as a business. Even our children, the way we kind of manage the children. I know there was another, a second email I got, didn't appreciate that at all, that your children are more than just employees. Yes, they are. Okay, we are raising our children as children. They run, they play, they jump, they have toys. They live in a beautiful household. We provide a home for them. I am a mommy who bakes, I cook, I do all of the mommy things that are required of me, but it's important that we are giving our children real world applicational skills in order to run businesses in the world. I don't want my children to be anybody else's employees. They're going to start off as our employees, and hopefully at some point they are able to take on leadership roles and maybe start their own businesses or what have you. But we are in a position to give our children the skills they need so that we don't have to support them for the rest of our lives.
Tell them about structure you mentioned this morning.
Structure.
Yep.
So another issue with relationships, especially dysfunctional ones, is that they lack structure. There is no structure, there's no discipline. Again, there's no planning, the communication's off. All of the skills that we utilize in business should kind of be geared towards your personal life and your personal relationship as well, so that you can troubleshoot when things are happening. Because we take that solution-oriented approach, it's a lot easier for Simon and I to resolve issues when we have them in the relationship, because we do take those business aspects. Our communication is better because if he asks me a question, I'm able to answer the question directly instead of giving all of these weird abstract responses. And I'm just mentioning these things because these are things we're seeing in the relationship sphere. It's too abstract. Everybody's like, and love this and love that. Yes. Relationships require love, whether it's a husband and a wife, a mother and child, father and child, siblings. Relationships require love, but they also require structure and discipline in order to have that long lasting, that longevity and that stamina and that endurance.
Yes, yes, indeed. And so, you take it one step further, understand that your business and your marriage, if it comes to an end, if you will, it will be dissolved.
The same exact way.
As a business, right? A marriage or a business, you're going to have to split up assets. And, this has to go this way, this goes to this person. So understand that the court system sees it slightly like a business.
They see it as a business. That's why they call it the institution of marriage.
Yes, there you go. The institution of marriage. And it will be dissolved. Your things will be split in half. Who gets the house, who gets the car, who gets the Bitcoin, who gets the silver, right? You're going to have to break it down. Just like if you had a business partner and you guys went out of business, it's like, who gets some of the treasury reserve assets, You know, if you own somebody, like who gets the building, who gets this, who gets left with the debt that's owed to this person, you guys got to split the debt. Yeah, it's broken down the same way. So, you know, just understand that even if you don't treat it like a business,
The world will.
the world does, and the people who matter do. And so, you know, it just keep that in your mind. We're not saying you have to create a business, but you know, it provides structure in your home. You know, like you said, planning, discipline, especially when you have children. You know that structure and discipline is very, very important. You know, and you know, they're not just employees, but you give them something to do, and they like that.
It gives them a sense of purpose.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. They like that as I come to do my job, especially the little one. But you know, the old one, you know, he's gonna do his job. Like, no, this is my job, so I'm gonna do this. And you know, it gives them a sense of purpose, gives them some drive. You know, they're ready to go, and it's very interesting. You know, because you know we live in another country, so there's no place to really go pick up a job, you know, when you turn 21 and stuff like that. So, you know, we're trying to, you know, give him things to do and you know, a job to do and something that he could be on top of and he's in charge of, right? He's in charge of his job and he likes that. He likes being in charge of his job. They like that, don't they?
Right, and it's a way that, like I said, give them real world applicational skills that are transferable, that they're able to evolve and take with them as they move on in the next chapters of their life. So we're bringing these things up because I can see that when we mentioned it the first time, it did make a few people uncomfortable. We have a very traditional sense of what family life looks like, what marriage looks like, what relationships look like, what child rearing looks like. And I keep telling you guys that we don't live in the world that our parents lived in. We don't live in the world that our grandparents lived in. For those of you, or those of us, I should say, who were raised by our grandparents, it's not the same world. So we have to begin to do things differently. We have to be able to adjust. People typically do things the way they've always been done because they are, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to trigger a few buttons, I'm going to push a few buttons, because you're too lazy to try to figure out a different way to do it, right? A lot of people don't want to create a new neural pathway and try to figure out a better way to do it because that requires a lot of failure too.
Yes.
Right? As you're trying these new things, you have to keep adjusting. There's lots of failure. You have to kind of backtrack. You have to troubleshoot. And that's typically the main reason why people like to do things the way it's always been done. We don't live in that world anymore. We live in a very technological era, and with technology comes constant change, right?
Yeah.
What was the main objective in this moment is obsolete in the next.
So, and they have the famous, you know, saying, fail forward. Right. You know, if you fail, just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. It's not the end of the world if you fail at something. You just, you know, you dust yourself off and you get back up and you keep it pushing. So yeah, like she says, things change so fast that you got to stay on top of it. You got to stay on top of it. And one thing that I like about our situation is that we have layered tiers of children who stay on top of things for us. Let us know, like, you see this new thing? And then, no, I didn't, but let me look at it. Right? They're on top of things that I'm not on top of. Right? And then the younger ones on top of something even.
The older ones, man.
Yeah, so they're just always on top of stuff and let us know, hey, this is a new thing, and say, okay, so I'm on top of that. I heard of that before. When it comes up and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, I said, yeah, I was on top of that because they put me onto it way back when. And that's part of the business aspect, you know. If it's a business and we are like, what do you call it? C-suite.
Right.
If we're the C-suite, CEO, you know, whatever, CEOs and stuff like that, we have the people who have the information who will bring it to us. And we're open-minded enough to take in all information. We're not like, oh no, we're in charge. We don't want to hear what you have to say. Like, no, bring everything that you have to us. And you know, we'll go through it and see what we see is viable, you know, for the family. And you know, it wasn't like, you know, we just mentioned it in passing. And you know,
people were concerned.
Yeah, so I said, well, we should probably, come back out.
Address it.
Yeah, come out and talk about it. Just, nothing, it's nothing, nothing too heavy today. We're just,
Right.
just coming back. We had missed 2 weeks, and that was my fault. I was under the weather last week, so, but I'm back better than ever. I'm back better than ever. And yeah, we wanted to bring that to you. You had some other things you wanted to say.
I want to say this too.
Mhm.
Under no circumstance am I saying that the Simon family approach is a one size fits all, right? It works for us. And we're just kind of saying, hey, you may want to look into it. Obviously, your families, your relationships, your personalities, your dynamics are going to be different. So you are going to have to adjust and do stuff just a little bit different than what we do. That's a little one in the back, y'all. It startled me.
It's okay.
So he's dancing. So, I did want to bring that up because I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying because we do it like this, everybody should do it like that. Absolutely not. But what I will tell everyone to do is to look into it. Try to find, even if it's just the communication aspect of your relationship. I watch some of these relationship shows and there's questions and answers, and I'm noticing that when a question is asked, for whatever reason, there's never a direct answer to that question. You got to go all the way around the block, all the way around the corner, up the street, up the mountain, back down, and you still don't have an answer to the question. So as we're talking about, business dynamics, relationships need direct communication, right? If questions asked, answer the question as directly as possible, and then you can, take him or her all around the corner. But just little skills that make businesses successful, you can add those skills and add those aspects to help make your marriage successful, and to give it that longevity.
Right. And like I said, I always, because we're talking about building wealth, your marriage and your business, right?
Mhm.
You have to have directives for your wealth, right?
Yeah.
Where the wealth goes.
Yeah.
So if you have a portion of wealth that you're putting away strictly for your family, it goes here, right? You got your Bitcoin goes to this pot. This is my family Bitcoin. And then if you got some Bitcoin that you want to go to your treasury reserve asset, you got this pot, right? You build this pot, and, you get profits, you take it off, put some in here. You take, that you need for your family. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you what we do with the Bitcoin as a family business. And so, you can move it around however you see fit, wherever you need it. If you need treasury reserve assets so that you can scale up and out, then maybe you move more Bitcoin to your treasury reserve assets. If, your business is where you want it, about the size that you want it, then maybe you have the opportunity to move more towards your family plan of Bitcoin. Right. So, you want to, Bitcoin is very versatile, silver as well. You can have silver as treasury reserve asset as well. Only thing is it's hard to liquidate. It's not as easy to liquidate precious metals.
Physical precious metals.
Physical precious metals.
But that's what the paper is for.
Yeah. So you use paper in your treasury reserve assets if you need to liquidate. And you have the physical in your personal family wealth plan. And that's what we talk about. We talk about building wealth, assets and arbitrage, building wealth and running as a business. Like she said, you get a lot of tax benefits. She didn't even go all of them, she just mentioned the main ones. But there's little ones, just little things that you can do that you can, as I like to say, lighten your tax burden.
Right.
Because that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to skip out on paying tax. We're trying to use the law like everybody else does.
Yep.
Right.
And like other businesses do. You work from home. If you buy clothes, I typically try to buy professional dress. You can see I'm off the shoulder, so it's kind of casual, but I got my pinstripe vest on. So when I buy clothes, it's a write-off. When I buy stuff for my professional development, it's a write-off. And you definitely want to, even if you're going to get your taxes done at Liberty Taxes or Tax USA or H&R Block or whoever you're going to get your taxes from, you still want to have an idea on what tax benefits work for you. Don't just assume that the person who's doing your taxes has your best interest at hand. They just work there. right? And while many of them do work very hard to give you the best service and whatnot, just understand that people are people, right? They don't get really any of that money other than the money that they're going to take off. And whether you're getting $400 back or $4,000 back, it's all the same to them. So you want to be on top of, as head of household, what are my benefits? As married filing joint, what are my benefits? As single filing at a higher rate, oh God, what are my benefits, right? So you want to, don't just leave the responsibility of these things in other people's hands. And people have a tendency to do that because they don't want to be bothered with doing the research. When we talk about child rearing, a lot of people rely on the school system to educate their children. It is not the school system's responsibility to educate your children. It is your responsibility to do that. And it's one of the reasons why, if they are going to school, great, be on top of what they're learning so that you can be on top of what they're not learning. And one of the things we don't learn in school, and I doubt that they're learning it now, are business skills. School is teaching children to be employees. College teaches students, because they're not children anymore. College teaches students to be employees. They do not teach them to be free-thinking entrepreneurs.
Right.
And you have to be on top of those things.
And they're not teaching anything about crypto, right? We have to teach our children about Bitcoin, blockchain, some of these other things, so they understand the necessary use case of it. And school's not teaching that I know of. Maybe a very progressive school
or two, yeah. But just understand that the educational system it belongs to the government. So they're always going to be X number of years behind, because curriculum has to be reviewed, discussed, approved, not approved, tweak, review, discuss, and the cycle is average all the time. So again, we live in a very technological era. What is the objective in this moment is obsolete in the next. Schools can't keep up with that.
They can't keep up, no, not at all.
And this is why we have a more non-traditional approach to rearing our children. We do run the house like an absolute organization. Our oldest, he gets a salary, the kids get a paycheck. It's very different. And it's also to teach the kids the understanding that, right, he's as I would say, a GS-12 for my military contractors. He's a GS-12. You guys just got in the gang, your GS-2s, right? Or you guys are enlisted, he would be officer level. And it's just the work that he's put in over the years that allows him to have an actual salary. I also am encouraging him to be a tax-paying citizen, right? We're not avoiding taxes. We just want to lessen and lighten our tax burden. But he also needs to understand the tax system, how it works, what his benefits are, what his privileges are, how the IRS is going to view the things that he does. And those are things that our parents didn't teach us. You don't learn those things in school. Like he said, maybe a progressive school might teach you those things if you are going to school for that. But if you guys are, are going to school for humanities or social work or something along those lines, you're not gaining, how can I take my social work business as an independent contractor or what have you and scale my business up? They're not teaching you that. They're just teaching you the clinical aspects of social work. So, and I'm just using that as an example. So, if you're a traveling nurse, same thing, right? They're not teaching you the business side of being a traveling nurse. They're teaching you the clinician side of it, all right? Keeping up with your clinical skills and your clinical hours. So we do have to take it upon ourselves to approach things in this non-traditional era, in a very strange world. What is the thing that you and Andy always say? Something about strange times.
Yeah, maybe we live in interesting times.
Maybe we live in interesting times. We are living in an interesting time where things are constantly changing, and you're going to have to be the scientist in the field, constantly observing and running experiments. Like he said, there's nothing wrong with failure. People are so fearful of failure. We fail all the time. And it's the reason why we have had so much success and prosperity in our lives, because we're not afraid to say, let's look at this. What went wrong? Why did this go wrong? And we ask ourselves very critical questions. When did it go wrong? How did it go wrong? Where were we when it went wrong? And that way we can kind of, okay, if this comes up again, this is what we're gonna try. And sometimes we fail again and again and again and again. And Simon and I get tired and we put it away. And then we'll pick it up again, right? So we want you guys to just, especially like crypto. Crypto is one of the things that's technologically based and it's going to be ever evolving. So you want your life to also be ever evolving. You want your approach to managing your household to be ever evolving, rearing your children, ever evolving. Your relationship for sure is going to be ever evolving because you as an individual are changing, your partner is changing, and then you guys are collectively changing. So it's this ever evolving approach where the love is always there. It just doesn't look like the Disney Channel.
And also, I just wanted to say, because I did mention about being under the weather last week, because you have trained and taught them what to do, they just jump right into action.
Yes.
You know, because you know how you feel. You're like, oh man, I got to get up and do this because I have to, because I always do. And then you got people that you have taught, they're like, don't even worry about that. I'm gonna handle that. And the other one say, I'm gonna handle this, I'm gonna handle that. And then you could just, you know, kind of get better. Right. So we've taught them how to just jump into action in case something happens to one of us, you know. So that's a great thing. Is also running your family as a business, is you have somebody next up, right? Next in charge. My oldest son likes to say he's a
backup quarterback.
He's a backup quarterback.
And he's a great backup QB.
I said, okay, I'll take that. So
and then he has a backup quarterback. Right. And then Reginald has a backup quarterback. And Tino's the boss of us all. You just seen him dancing in the background. He's the CEO of this fine show, you guys are used to seeing. The boss baby, yes. But we are just basically kind of sharing with you our non-traditional approach. Some people like it, some people love it, some people hate it. So if it works for you, we are hoping that we get some feedback from you guys. Because we run our house like a business, a lot of the annoyances that people typically have to be on top of, the micromanaging, it runs automated, right? So earlier this week, I realized we didn't have any toilet paper. I turned to Simon, I said, we don't have any toilet paper in the house. He said, no, the boys went and bought toilet paper this morning.
Yeah, they took care of it.
Oh, okay. Right, good, right? Because we just kind of started this in January, right? Since it's the beginning of the tax year. So I can see how that sense of purpose has given them not only ambition, but automation, right? So they're very automated. They know they're going to get up at this time. Homeschool starts at this time. The kids are showered and dressed. Before we used to be yelling, are y'all up yet? We've been up since 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Y'all up yet? So it helps to give you the time and the focus you need to focus on the things that they can't do. And that's for us running the businesses to make sure, hi baby, say hi, that the wealth is there for their children. Again, we do every other generation. We support our children, so they don't need that as much. This is for their children. And then they're supposed to be focused on their grandchildren because it's their responsibility taking care of their children and so on and so forth. That way, every single generation is covered with support. And it's the support that, like I said, a lot of us didn't have when we were growing up. I wish my grandmother or my grandfather would have said, I'm going to buy Aaron 10 metric tons of silver or gold. And it was cheap back then. My family come from Guyana. Guyana was full of gold. They used to pay people in gold. Have somebody just say, I'm just going to keep a portion of this to the side for my granddaughter. Ain't no telling where I would be. Hopefully I would have still run into him, but ain't no telling where I would be. You know, hopefully fate would have it and we meet and fall in love. And we did have a Disney kind of thing in the beginning. It's just that our relationship's 21 years old. It should look like an adult. It shouldn't look like puppy love. We are very much in love with each other. It's just that our relationship has a lot of discipline to it. So on the surface to other people, it may not look like that to them. We may look very formal and business but we have the longevity of, we're going to be together for a long time.
Yeah, and she said something in there and it was very, and we've talked about this on several shows, but you know, build wealth for people who aren't here yet.
Mhm.
And it seems silly, like in your mind, you say, well, that's silly. Why would I do that? But we have 4 sons, so people coming.
Yeah.
I don't know when, I don't know when, but they're coming. They coming.
And it's gonna be a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, so might as well put something to the side for those people who aren't here yet. And then when they get here, as they grow to be adults, continue to put stuff aside. It doesn't have to be months. It doesn't have to be much at all. Because what's you saying one more time?
Little Dutty build big down.
There we go. Just a little bit. If you just buy 1 coin a week, okay, after 52 weeks, you got 52 coins.
Yeah.
And then boom, after 10 years, you got 520 coins. And then there you go. So it adds up pretty quick.
Compounding.
So put something away for the people who aren't here yet. If you expect people to be here, and then worst case scenario, if nobody ever shows up, then you just got a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really a win-win.
So
It's a win-win. But somebody's showing up. Somebody's gonna be showing up. I know that, but yeah, so we build, like she said, they got paid in gold. If they just put just a little, what you call it, pence?
A pence.
A pence away?
Pittance.
A pittance.
Pittance is not much, but if they just put away a 6 pence for us, I'm talking in Chinese accent, I'm sorry. If they just put away a 6 pence for us, yeah, and no telling, where we would have been, the different choices that would have been made. Now, like I said, my steps are ordered, so I'm right where I'm supposed to be. But it's important that our descendants, especially in this unsure economic period that we're in.
Yeah, this is true, right? So, and it could be Bitcoin, put something away. A little bit of, we're big in precious metals. And anything, whatever your portfolio calls for. If it's real estate, invest the way you invest, but have something put away for your family, your aunt, those down,
Your descendants
down the line, and just so that we thought about you, we thought about you before you even came here. So.
And that's all we have for you guys today. Simon and I have a few business meetings we have to take care of, so we're short on time. But we miss you guys, and I did want to address those emails. I don't want you guys to think that I was ignoring your emails. I just wanted to be able to answer them in a way where no one's offended, and you can just kind of understand where Simon and I are coming from in our marital approach. So we will see you guys next week. I hope you guys have a great and productive week, and we'll be seeing you.